I told you, this guy's a genius.
Self-proclaimed, maybe.
Well, as long as it works for him.
Exactly my point.
Awesome. Okay. Now first I have to get into talking again freely, because what I every time realize is that I'm amongst people. If I'm amongst people, with people, that I cannot talk freely, because as soon as I start talking, they want to interrupt me. Alright, now it's the night, which is why I feel just a little bit uncomfortable filming myself. And I actually have the feeling that what I really want to do is point the camera away from me. Because now I've been in the center of everything for so long, and what I often realize is that if I'm always in the focus, I can't see what's happening around me. And today I almost got taken over by a car because I could not perceive the area where I was walking, because my focus was solely on speaking. And yeah, you could say it was kind of my fault. But of course we all have to watch out for each other. That's a very valid point now. If I would be somewhere in Africa, in a savannah, I would not go and film myself like this. And I have to talk louder, which is weird. You know, now in the night, I don't actually want to film myself. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to film and say nothing. Just do this now. I just have to figure out now how to hold this. Okay, maybe I'm just going to walk like this, hold it like a microphone, and then just speak. Okay, this is really uncomfortable. All I can do is comment on what I'm feeling, because now it's the night and it's dark, and I feel uncomfortable because I don't really know what's happening. It's not the day. I cannot see as far, and I'm walking barefoot, so I have a sense of feel and a bit of like shady reality. The thing is that Well, basically, I'm not in Africa. If I were in Africa, you know, my trust would have to be unshakable to do something like this. I would call that then really insane, or maybe just ignorance, but ignorance to a large degree is also then insanity, right? So I have madness inside of me, and people think I'm mad, but I think they're mad because they behave against their nature, because they constantly walk against walls of expectations. And the reason I'm saying that, now I'm just talking into the microphone from the front, but because it's dark, you know, I won't be filming my mouth. But I could start doing that because I sometimes have the feeling that I speak really sloppy. Like, words escape me that I never planned to say. You know, it's like swear words. And okay, what I have to talk about now is entities during the night. Why do people feel uneasy? Okay. We have to, you know, the only knowledge I can have is, let's say, from TV shows like Avatar, you know, the Aang series, and things like movies, Legend with, I think it's called Legend, with Tom Cruise, very nice, and other movies where the turning point of the day, also Pirates of the Caribbean, the third one, and I think it ends World, where, you know, he comes to the realization your up is down, and then he has to turn the boat, and when the sun goes down, it goes up on the other side. So during the day, we are in the light side, and then there's the shadow world underneath us. And during the night, when the light goes over the horizon, we are in the shadow side, and other people, you know, the underworld is in the light side. Okay, what does that mean? That means there is no pure evil. There's only, you know, the opposite of what we say is good. And that's then the basic principle of duality. If I say one thing is good, and I only think it's good, I have to also look at the bad parts that it brings. So cannabis legalization, yes, can be good, but, you know, not everybody knows how to deal with it, because we're coming from a society. If we look at Germany now, Jesus, I said we. I don't want to identify with the country, you know, because it's all man-made. It does not exist. Now I'm slowly opening up, but it's still weird because it's the night, and, you know, in the end, I just talked myself to a place where I can say, wait a second, why do I think the night is the shadow time? We could say it's just a different kind of light, or, you know, if the sun is missing, I have to be the sun. You know, I just have to rearrange myself. You know, it's like a fish in water. Ow, ow, ow. You know, there are humans that are like fish in water. They can hold their breath. And then there are like amphibians, which are in between. And then there are fish that can even partly grow feet and stuff, I think, right? I mean, nature has it all. And so the most important trait as a, let's call this the spiritual seeker that you ought to have, is basically, I have the feeling I have been healed from my insanity. And I'm not sure if I like it. I don't think so, because I can still be insane. Insanely beautiful, maybe. But I think I still can be insane if I want to be. But the problem is when you're insane, then people are afraid of you, and then they may start attacking you. Because if you mirror them insanity, then you'll get insanity back, basically. Because you can drive them mad. And as an artist, you know, that's the I constantly start feeling uncomfortable. There are always moments where I feel like deep trust, just keep going, and then suddenly I perceive something and I cannot place it. The night is weird, there's like, you could say, shapeshifters. Sometimes I see like a shadow of a dog or an animal, and then I realize it's just a tree, right? And then I never know. Now I just thought there was like a child on the left side. So what we have to always consider when we look at trees and leaves and the foliage of trees, wow, my English is so good now. I just became aware of something. The way is barred. Or so it seems. Yeah, sometimes I'm not sure, right? Should I step over something or go around it? I was once being told that it's better to go around things and not step over. I don't know if that's true. I have once been in ayahuasca ceremony, and there was I'll just keep calling him a friend for want of a better word. It's like a spiritual companion. He shaved my hair. I think he wow, there's a lot of like tough stones. I don't know. What? Okay, I'm not sure. I don't know. It says keep that shit hidden from now on. What does? Ow. Watch. Okay, keep your shit hidden from now on. Okay, so usually when I'm around people, I just always show them how shit I can be. That's not it. No. Ow. Okay, that hurt. That really hurt. Okay, so I'm here in a forest area. I know that anybody who would be here would have some kind of torch now. I'm probably the only one walking here. But yet I cannot be totally relaxed. So you have to be a bit on the lookout, because you just never know what's coming for you. But at the same time, if you just say, I'm just going to trust, then you can simply keep going. And that's the challenge for me at the moment. I'm not really sure, because I've never wandered the way I'm wandering now. I'm wandering. I've never allowed myself to just wander around and then have the cheek to have a camera and talk like I would be in my living room. But the problem that I experience is that when I am at home and there are other people living there, I cannot talk freely because I basically dislike. I don't want to talk like this. What the fuck? I mean, who talks like that? This is like when you listen, like when you listen to Ram Dass. I mean, that's what he means when he says maybe you can express yourself so exquisite, right? The exquisitery of expressionism is actually being trampled with words. Because if you want to express yourself in an exquisite way, then you have to learn to draw an image. Now here's a particularly dark spot. And now what I'm realizing is that I'm not sure how I'm doing it. If I start to not see something anymore, I just shift my gaze, right? If I walk straight and both eyes are focused on the end equally, and suddenly it gets dark on the left side for whatever reason, because we are not just hiking in the dark forest, we are hiking or walking through currents of energy. And that's what you have to understand, which is why sometimes you go through a current that's flowing like, like a fresh spring. Everything is, bubbling around and it's like really clear. And sometimes you walk through areas where the current is more like murky, like murkwood. And so that's also what I experienced when I once, a couple of weeks ago, I took a month. Let's make it month. It was last year, I believe. Maybe it was beginning of this year. I'm not sure. I ordered psychedelic truffles, I think from the Netherlands. And it's legal. You can order them as, You know, like beer, you know, it's something you, like a pleasure good. And I took them, but I walked, first of all, to a place where I'm also walking now. And I first did rapé, and then I ate the mushrooms. I don't know, it's like 15 or 20 grams. You know, I don't know what, you know, you have to know what you can take. You know, this wouldn't be the first experience that I would recommend to anyone. Unless you're like, you know, already tough as nuts. I mean, you have to be pretty sturdy to live through a night with psychedelics alone in the forest. Because sometimes you will experience loss of direction. Like sometimes you walk, you know. I have had this. I was at a place, the sun was going down, I was actually supposed to wait for someone. And I went for a walk because she was somewhere else and I was still waiting. It was somewhere in the forest in Cologne, the Königsforst. And I was there and then she left and I started wandering around. And because I was wandering around, I hid my tent and stuff. I put it all together and I hid it so that if somebody would come, you know, they wouldn't see it or think I was camping. Then I went on a walk, and while I was on a walk, you know, I left my phone. You know, who I was supposed to meet, you know, she, the love of my life, it's the truth. Can't explain it. It's just, you know, I've just explained it. I've never met someone like this, and I was never so open to meeting her, but I also shit my pants. Right, this is something I'm trying to avoid, if you know what I mean. That is sometimes what keeps me inside. I'm afraid to meet her. Because if you once meet a woman and she's like full on, you know, that's like, you know, the woman for you. Where he just, doesn't matter where she looks like, it's just like, whoa, what? You exist? Okay, I suggest I take a route that I feel safe taking. And there's a reason, because last time I went there to do the mushrooms, I was being informed with my feeling before, you know, I was listening to the Carlos Castaneda books. And I have this strange thing that if I listen to, let's say, Terence McKenna starts giving me advice in my head. Like literally, he starts talking to me. He starts commenting on the thoughts that I have. And when I, for example, watch Rick and Morty, and I write something, you know, I'm Rick. You know, I'm never Morty. Okay, I could be. I could basically be any character that I want to be. And sometimes I'm a little bit afraid of that because, you know, I don't want to lose myself in this. You know, when we talk about madness and stuff, you know, I have to always remember that it's just, it must be really, it's just an imitation, the imitation game. And that's the hard part about becoming nobody. Because nobody to who? You are nobody to other people. You give them nothing, you know, to catch you with, but you can. And that's the thing when you're, let's say, you know, there are different kinds of gurus. And a guru is not a teacher because somebody comes and says you're a guru. Well, in a way it is. Okay, then we have to answer why would somebody come and say you're a teacher? Well, because he understood something and then he tried to communicate it to people. But because he failed to express it, he started deepening his teachings. So he realized that he could receive teachings from life. You know, if I'm a coward, you know, and I want to work with that, and I'm afraid of everything, what can I do? I can challenge myself. You know, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to film this. Okay, I think this is a really nice area. Awesome. I mean, this is beautiful. You could stand here for hours because here I feel safe. I mean, isn't that what we all want? To just feel a little bit safe? And the thing is, if I wouldn't come here tonight, You know, how could I ever experience this? And I'm not saying this is easy. I don't know where you live. When you live in Johannesburg, you know, it's probably hard to do this. But then what you can do, you know, I don't know where you live, right? I mean, there are probably areas, but it's hard to recommend anything. I've made a lot of experiences in these woods. And I learned to simply figure out, oh, this is perfect now. Now I also have to work with uneasiness of getting wet. Yeah? Because I don't know how far this is going to go. Is it going to be a thunderstorm? But the question is, you know, what did the hobbits do? They just put a blanket around them? Okay, you could say I'm not prepared now. Well, what I can do is I'm not in a hurry. Because, you know, I can plan these things a little. I can say, okay, maybe I live in a big city. I don't have forest exactly where I am right now. So how would I go about this? Well, I would say, how do you do it? Well, you figure out where the nearest area is where you could do something like this. And then you make a plan. And then you look at budget. You know, this is now, if you live in a city, then you're gonna have a job, and then you're gonna have money. And then you either invest that money into Netflix and electricity and water and, you know, computers. You know, I've already said it, you know, when I said electricity, you know, and food, of course, because you're bored and then you do stuff that makes you weak. Now, I have no internet at the moment, and that's the best thing, because if I have internet also on my phone, I just constantly check my content. I constantly obsess about emails and shit like this. So this was another very important point in learning how to deal with this kind of society, to renounce certain things, but to keep the things that help me to progress in this society still, without feeling the need to be a monk and basically hide in some kind of ashram. Why? Because it is important today that we as humans show the world what a yogi, which is somebody who is aware of the interplay between darkness and light, and who managed that if you've got too much shadow, you know, you're gonna like destroy people and yourself. And if you're too much light, you know, nobody will take you serious, because you're gonna be like this. And then people are gonna say, what the fuck, man? I mean, who's he gonna teach? You know, we need men. Which is, if you're, yeah, I'm just gonna say it, a bit wobbly, you know, you don't know, as a man, if you're a man or a woman, how can you give others stability? And then, of course, you know, the path of becoming a father, having children, is basically a unsurmountable obstacle. You know, it's like climbing the Mount Everest, despite the fact that you actually have never gone for walks before. And now we're getting into a darker area again. And this is also, there is some kind of homes back then. So I don't know if there are people lurking around here, you know. I'm just saying, this is something you can feel, because even though there's nobody there, you can feel the presence of others. You can feel if there has been someone there. And when you walk around at night and there's a car, you never know if somebody is sleeping in the car. So when you're in areas that are close to, you know, like housings, it's better to just be aware, because fear is also a path to liberation. You can follow your fear, but what I've realized, that if you know, tackle all your fears head on, you know, it's like people that are afraid to die, and then they go and they gotta test it. You know, they go like full adrenaline. You know, they start with slacklining, and then they go backflips, and then they go trick lining, and then they go base jumping. You know, it's like you start slacklining, and then that gets boring. And what do you start then? you start rodeo lining, which is a different setup. I'm not there yet. And then you start juggling while rodeo lining. I've seen someone who can juggle while rodeo lining. And this is the same with, you start to work with your fears. And you already, okay, now I just heard a sound. And, right, that makes me a little bit uneasy. So one of the most important things when you're hiking at night is the focus on your surroundings. So right now there's this red light blinking in front of my camera, and it's pretty annoying because now I think about, what if somebody can see me? And these are just all points. None of these have to be actual threats to your life. Nothing may ever happen. But just the possibility is already enough to scare you and to trigger a panic attack in you. Because believe me, if you start doing things like this, where you go to situations that could drive you insane, then the chance of really losing it and never recovering from it is very high. There are people that start taking psychedelics in groups or because other people say it's cool or whatever. And then they just keep experimenting, and just one has to crack, and he can pull the whole group down. That's nothing that you have to say is, terrible. But if you are in a group and people take things, and somebody goes into shadow, I'm just gonna say he could slit his throat, my friend. I've seen people that I didn't see them doing it, but they showed me like a 30-centimeter scar on their arm, where they just took a knife and cut it open. I'm just saying, there are people that jump out of windows. And that brings me back to the story, right? Yeah, a bit scary, right? It's like not just happy psychedelics, happy mushroom, no. The mushroom's the gate to the underworld. And once you take that, you have been initiated, my friend. You have been given certain knowledge about your life and about the circumstances of your life and what surrounds you. Your habits, maybe, the direction your life is going and how it could go, the relationship you have towards other people. You can have visions about incredible love, let's say for your family or for friends, but you could have also been shown hatred. And if you've been shown hatred, then the goal is not to try and destroy them, but to simply realize, to not feed into the hate by just sitting around hating it. And that brings me back to the topic that I already forgot, break the 8. This today is my breaking the 8. Normally I would go to the park, I would slackline, I would hang out with a guy or a friend, let's just call him that, I'm very distanced. And then we would play frisbee and then smoke some joints. And then afterwards I would go back home. And he would go back home, and then I would sit around and, I don't know, do whatever, Really previous me would have watched porn and masturbated until I felt somewhat relaxed and could sleep. But because I have no internet, I cannot look up GIF images. I have no sex porn movies on my computer. I had them, I deleted them again, because I thought if I don't have internet, that's when I started looking at Apollonia La Piedra. What a woman. Actually not true, it's a girl. And it's a problem. Well, that's not what yes, okay, now I have to touch the topic. All I have to say on that is she started as the shining star. Super sexy woman, a lot of spunk. And you can see in some of the earlier videos how she literally could control the men. She was in charge. And I saw one video, and I cannot say it other than this, where it was basically rape in front of the camera. Just please consider the position that a woman is in that works in the porn industry. Just think about it. There will be one woman on a set where there's probably only men. Why do you think all these women end up doing gangbang, bukkake, you know, deep throat, threesomes, foursomes? Because they start quite soft. This is how the porn industry works. You start as the sexy girl, you get displayed like a goddess. And then you start getting greedy for this. It's the same with the guys. Although they're not getting hammered so much. This is the topics that I faced. Because I had been watching porn for years. And I wanted to get rid of it instead of running away from it and then having it like a burden that I had to carry all the time. You know, like, oh, I would like to, you know. It's like you either give up smoking or you keep smoking. But you can also smoke once in a while. You know, you don't have to not smoke ever again. If you feel like there's a part that can manage to just smoke once a week. Wow, that was lightning. Sweet. Let's just see where this is going. Now I have to feel... You see, that's the problem. My mother contacted me about something, and then I felt inclined to jump like a ready little puppy. You know, at the age of 34 that can still happen, because mothers are very good at controlling children. And if your mother's worried, she may want to see you all the time. But if I go to my mother that worries about me all the time, if she contacts me and I just run there, I deny myself experiences like this, which I could not have done if I would have gone to my parents now. So you just have to make sure that your parents only get a little bit of your new life, and also friends. Because once you start walking the path, and you start to liberate yourself, you will find people that want to spend more time with you because they think, oh wow, I can benefit from him. But what you always have to ask yourself is this also beneficial to you? Because you have to be, you know, as nice as it is that people are greedy for you, you also have to be a bit greedy with yourself. Right? You also have to be a bit greedy for yourself. And now, I'm not sure how far. But I think, you know, sometimes I just make a new experience and then I'm not entirely sure how far I'm supposed to push it. But now what I'm actually thinking about is just to take the easy route home. Because I'm not sure how the weather is going to be and I'm not adequately prepared. And that was a second flash of lightning. So sometimes fear is also a guide. And what you never know is when you walk at night through the forest, there may be people sleeping here. And these people may have consumed psychedelics of some sort. Which is why if you walk in areas such as this, you just have to be aware that, you know, you never know. That's all I'm saying. So your senses have to be still on your surroundings. You cannot lose yourself, let's say, in filming yourself and talking. You know, you just keep your senses reaching outwards. And I, for instance, I've tried having long hair. I start going nuts over it. I really get incredibly angry. It annoys me so much if something touches my ears. And that's one thing when you are concerned with also the darkness and you feel drawn to the darkness and you want to learn to deal with it, the darkness, then you have to be aware that sometimes, you know, a lot of people also have it. So if I'm inside and I realize something's bugging me, like I'm working with some kind of form of shadow or whatever, oh yeah, then I have to face it. And what I realized just now is how afraid I've been of this area where I did the mushrooms. And that's something you should also never underestimate. Because I thought there was some kind of spirit. Now what you have to understand is, if you challenge your fears and you take psychedelics to do so, and let's say you go to a specific place that your feeling suggests you should go to, you know, I'm not saying you should do this, I'm just saying there are people who want to do it, and when they do it, you know, they should know how to do it. So this is not advice for you to take psychedelics. You just have to make sure to inform people that it can be dangerous. Anyway, what happened to me was, you know, I can just talk about myself, but I still feel the need to say, because now it's dark and now I see a car is coming towards me and I'm somewhere on a field, you know, that's a potential, you know, I could think now, well, what if these people are, I don't know, crooks? What you always should remember is that they're in the car, they feel safe. If you do nothing, then they should have no need to worry. So you just make sure that, you know, you're not just blocking the street and start talking to them like a madman. Okay, wait a second. Here in the center, there is now a thunderstorm. You know, the flash came and immediately the thunder. So question, they say you're supposed to stand on an open field. I will simply continue moving. I wanted to go in here now, but the feeling I have is I'm gonna walk around it. And I'm gonna walk to an area where there's houses. That's just what my feeling is telling me. Of course, if you would talk with I don't know who, they'd probably say, well, you should just, I don't know, make sure you get home safely, you know? I mean, what else can you say? You know, you cannot forbid people to do this, but now I have to walk around and realize that I feel very exposed. And this is a very sensitive situation. I could, I'm just saying, be struck by lightning now. Now the question is, you know, I'm really shitting my pants on the inside because this is stupid, I think. But I have no experiences. The question I have is, do you think nature is angry at you? So why should you be struck by lightning? I mean, if you feel good, should you be struck by lightning? That's a very good question. But there are people who survive such a thing. So could be struck by lightning and just let it flow through you, and because I have a camera, but I'm barefoot, you know, maybe it's gonna work. I feel a bit stupid and irresponsible, but in the end it's up to you. You could say, is my life not worth more? Well, but the problem I always have is, if I manage to get through it alive, then does it really matter? You know what I mean? I mean, does it really matter? Because I lived through it. Wow. But the fear would have kept me from doing so. Now, that's the same thing with telling you to go hiking. You know, if you live in Africa and you just start running around in bare feet and you just, you know, you don't pay attention to snakes and leopards, you know, that's then your problem. Or vagabonds. This is a relatively safe area. I mean, this is like, if you walk here, it's like you live in the Shire, basically. I mean, there's nothing really here. You know, there's a story where they say Hitler only managed to get to Lunatic because, you know, there was nothing anymore. And the people, it's like the wolves that attacked the Shire, you know, they were just fought back. You know, Saruman tried to take the Shire. So the area I live in, which maybe explains why I'm like quite a sturdy fella, there's a lot of hiking still going on. Not all the time, and not everyone, but it is still normal to grow up and your parents take you hiking, because there's still a lot of nature, and that's of course the difference. If you just live in a city, all the people also here, there are people that never go hiking. But if you do, you can learn to challenge yourself in new ways. And you know, distance is not an excuse, because if you work, you've got money. And if you have time to watch movies, then you can take the time and say, hey, maybe instead of just hanging around watching movies and getting drunk, you know, this weekend I'm gonna buy a ticket, or take my car, you know, or take the train or a bus, or ask someone that maybe, or you just do it alone, you know, I don't know, right? Maybe you have to find people, look for groups, and then still make, you know, trust your feeling, don't be an idiot. Maybe first just meet for a coffee, you know, you never know who advertises this. It's probably best to just look with people that you know. You know, I'm not quite sure. I don't trust everyone. I wouldn't just go night hiking with you. Just involves a lot of trust. You know, I first have to trust myself with this, and then you just keep going, and you keep going, and you keep going. And what's nice, of course, now I don't have to worry about, actually never have to worry about the camera getting wet, because it's waterproof. And that's of course also quite amazing. And so what I wanted to say about the spiritual thing, the psychedelic thing, you know, if you go somewhere, let's say somewhere, whatever, in the forest, you take psychedelics, or in a field or whatever, and you face your fear there, what might happen is you may actually project a lot of fear, because you're gonna leave it there, and then you simply, now I feel again, I always have the fear of being shot, right? And that's very strange. But if somebody comes, you know, walking out of the night and in bare feet with a beard, you know, people are pussies. They're just gonna look at you and they're gonna be happy that they're in the car. And you're just gonna be like, yeah, I'm happy I'm out here, because this is awesome. I mean, you could say now, you know, thank God I did it. But before I started even taking out the camera, I was like, well, maybe I should go back, you know, just play it safe. Now, what's playing it safe, you know? I was hot, I needed a shower, and now it's raining. And, you know, I don't know yet that much about trails of energy and all of this stuff. Escape the 8. You know, let's just keep calling it like this. I like the logo also. The challenge is to realize where you're clinging. And I'm going to pause this